Wow, I didn't realize I was live yet. That was not my intention. I'm still eating. Well, it's 2021 where I am. It's not 2021 at this moment of this live stream in a lot of the world. So I've time traveled for you to next year. And I'm here to tell you that the world is still here. So I can guarantee you that 2021 will arrive. For how long it lasts, that's yet to be seen. So, we're going to do a rune reading. Let me get rid of this. I'm on a different channel than that, so let's get my channel all set up for that. Okay, there we go. All right, so 2020 is officially over. We're obviously not out of the woods yet because we still got at least two major situations going on. There's still the pandemic, which is raging out of control. In fact, worse than ever. Even though there's, whatever you think about the vaccine, there's potentially a vaccine out there, and we have yet to see what's going to happen with that. Whether or not that's going to turn us into alien streaming 5G, automatons for the reptilian agenda, or if it'll turn us into monkeys, or what else is going to happen. There's a lot of things that happened this year. We had the pandemic hit, and then we had the Black Lives Matter protests and ongoing issues regarding that, which I think is a long time coming. I was out of the country for all of that stuff, so you guys know more about it than me. But it was tough. People were in lockdown and had to wear masks, and there were people out on the street protesting. I mean, it was just, I can imagine, probably one of the most stressful experiences ever. And still, people have been in lockdown for almost an entire year in some places. So this is a very tough time to be alive. And then we've got all this craziness going on with the elections where there's still all kinds of stuff going on in the next few days when the electors come to what would have been just just a ritual to go through and certify Joe Biden as the next president. There's going to be all this hubbub in the Congress, and then on the 6th, I believe it is. So there's still drama left over from 2020 that we got to live through. But what can we expect for 2021? So that's what we're going to deal with right now. So I'm setting up my camera here because I'm going to take a rune reading. Exactly what that rune reading is. So first, let's talk about runes for a moment. Runes are the indigenous practice of many Northern Europeans in order to, you do all kinds of things, but it's a way of doing divination. And we know from 2,000 years ago, when Tacitus, the Roman historian, traveled to what was then the outskirts, beyond the outskirts of civilization. He traveled to a region of the world where, according to civilized society, Greek and Roman society, that there were the most primitive people on the planet were living. And they lived in this jungle. And so bear in mind, for Tacitus to travel to what they called Germania, and to travel and see with these primitive Germanic tribes people, it would have been the same as somebody going into an uncontacted tribe in South America. That's how That's how they were viewed. And he very clearly points out, he doesn't use the word runes, but it's very clear that they had this practice of rune divination all the way back then. And the male of the family would have been the de facto priest of the family, and they would have been some kind of white sheet that was used, and they would take, obviously, what's the way he describes it is he's talking about rune staves, which are little squares from bark of wood, where they have symbols carved on them, which would be nothing other than the runes. And what they would do is they would put them out and then look up at the sky, and they would do that 3 times. And then the diviner, which would have been the male of the household, would have then come to an understanding of what the interpretation is of that. So this is a very old thing that we're going to be doing here. This has been going on for, who knows how long. At least 2,000 years, if not. And it is the indigenous practice of the pre-Christian, pre-civilized people of Northern Europe. And we still have that available to us today. So I'm going to be doing that. And let's now set the stage again clear. I'm going to be making, I haven't decided exactly, I'm going to decide in the next few seconds here what my exact question is going to be. But here's what you need to understand. When you're doing rune readings, you have to understand how runes are interpreted. So the runes themselves, like I'm going to be using a deck, but whether you have a cup full of, wooden rune staves or whatever, it doesn't matter. The being that is going to determine which runes end up on the reading is your own unconscious mind. I'm pointing to my navel center here. So your navel center here gets information directly from your higher self, which gets it directly from the gods. This information from the gods goes to your navel center, where your unconscious mind is. All of your thoughts and feelings, your unresolved emotional issues, your attachments, your hopes, your fears, these are all down in there. And there can be a communication snafu between here and here, because this is where it's going to go. After you look at it here, your lower self interprets it, gives it to your middle self, which is your identity. And then you speak, or you look at it and you say, oh, here's what this is. But your unconscious mind is the one picking the cards. So my unconscious mind is going to be picking the cards here. So I'm going to be looking for a prediction. What can we expect is going to happen? And so I'll make an obvious one. I'm going to say, what can we expect is going to happen to the world and to society in regards to this COVID pandemic scenario with the vaccine and everything else? I'm going to lump all that in there. And then I'm going to look at the runes, and then I'm going to interpret. And it's going to be my prediction. But bear in mind, I'm giving it a 50-50 chance because I have an agenda. As you all, everybody watching me has an agenda here. And you also have beliefs and you have assumptions. So the real question is whether or not my unconscious mind is able to put itself aside and allow the gods to speak through the runes and to hear it. This is why, if you really, people, you can do rune readings for yourself, but you can't get away from you. Your unconscious mind is going to, if you want to go, is she the one? Is she going to be the one I marry? Your unconscious mind, if you have an attachment and an emotional agenda to want her to be the one, you're going to pick the runes unconsciously. Same if the opposite. So you can't really bank on your own thing, your own prediction. But so we're gonna see what happens. I'm gonna make a prediction. We'll see whether or not my unconscious mind played a role in it or not. And I'll give it a time frame. I'll say within the next 6 months, between now and June, right? That's 6 months into it. So between now and June, what can we expect is going to happen with the pandemic and the vaccine and all that? So here's what I do. I'm gonna do it right in front of you. I take a deep breath in, shuffle it once, and then I ask Odin to give us his wisdom. And then you exhale. Breathe in a second time. Shuffle the cards. Ask Vili for his power. Exhale. Third time's the charm. Take a deep breath and inhale. Ask Ve for his spirit. Exhale. So what I've done is I've now addressed all three of my centers, my Odin up here in the top, Vili, the navel center, and Ve, sacred space, where my soul is. So now I've addressed Odin, Vili, and Ve. Now I'm going to put them into the 9-world rune reading, which will be we're gonna look at all the influences of the 9 worlds, which also happen to be the 9 aspects of the human psyche. And again, my question has to do with what can we expect to happen with this 2021 pandemic and the vaccine and all that. So first one, I'm not even looking. First one comes out, I put it in the middle. That is Middle Earth. Then I take the next one and I put it in the north, which is the realm of the waters of life, Niflheim. And this has to do with the potential of things that are coming to us. And then the next one I go to Asgard, the upper right, which is the realm of the celestial gods. And this has to do with our hopes, our dreams, our aspirations, our zeal. And then we take out the next one and we go to the east, which has to do with our identity. So now I'm taking on so this would be the unconscious collective of the whole world, the identity of the whole world as this is going on for the first 6 months. Okay, I still need a little more room here. Let's see. Then I'm going to take out the next one, which will be in the southeast, which is the realm of the dwarves, the dwarf home, which has to do with the subconscious. There's a difference between subconscious and unconscious. It still drives me crazy. People watch my channel, still use the word subconscious when they mean unconscious. We're talking about the subconscious mind. So this has to do with your intentions. Your third eye, you intend out your third eye, your subconscious intentions. If you are somebody who likes to follow the law of attraction and you spend a lot of time on the edge of your bed intending your next wife or husband or your next car or $1 million, you're trying to use your subconscious mind to project onto the universe, which by the way only works if your unconscious mind is in agreement. If it's not, it won't mean anything. But here we get to look at the subconscious intentions that the world has. And then we have in the south, again, I haven't looked at them or interpreted yet. I'm just telling you what the placement means. Here in the south, we have the realm of Muspelheim, which is the fire demons, the realm of the fire, which has to do with actions. So now we're going to see what our actions are, or what they need to be. Then we look at the southwest. This is the unconscious mind. This has to do with the things that we don't have conscious awareness of. This is probably the single most important rune, what's going on underneath the surface in our unconscious mind. Then we're going to take a look at the west, the realm, the Vanaheim. So we just, the unconscious mind is the underworld, Helheim. Now we're going to look at the west, which is the realm of the gods of nature, the Vanir. In the Vedic, you have the Devas and the Asuras, and people mistranslate Asura as demon. That's not what they are. They're demigods. They're earthly powers. They're still gods. They're still deities. But there's always this battle between the earthly deities and the celestial deities. And so the west is the realm of the earthly deities, and these are called the Vanir. This has to do with our relationship. So the east has to do with our relationship to ourself. The west has to do with our relationship to others. So again, we're talking about the collective unconscious of the whole world here when it comes to this pandemic. And then the last rune we're going to put on there is for the home of the elves. No, but who doesn't love the elves? I mean, the elves, the ascended masters, the beings of light who were once humans, who are on their way to becoming deities themselves, or on their way to merging with infinity. They look back before they become one with all of existence, and they look back towards us humans, and they try and help us become like they are. And we hear their good advice. So that's in the Northwest in Elf Home. All right, so now what I have to do is I'm going to have to take a picture here. This will take a couple of seconds. I'm going to take a picture of it on my phone, and then it'll come up on here, and then I'll put it up. And so let's do that. Camera. All right, so let's see if I can do this. Get it all in there. All right, there it is. There's the photo. All right, now that I have the photo, I can get rid of this in front of me and bring you guys back. So that I can look you in the face there and type things onto my phone or my computer. All right, so now let's take that photo. Let's upload it to my, I should have done this before, my apologies. I'm going to upload this to my computer. So where are we going? That's not what I want to do. Why aren't you letting me do what I want to do? What's going on here? Photo selected. Sorry, I should know what the hell I'm doing. Oh, because maybe I'm looking in the wrong place. All right, I am. I'm doing things. Oh no. Oh, that's what. Why aren't you doing what I want? Why aren't you hooking up here? All right, if this doesn't work, I have no idea what I'm going to do. This is quite embarrassing. Copy, print, slideshow, add to album, uses wallpaper, save to files, assign to contact. What the heck, man? What am I missing here? I've done this before. Maybe I need to... No, oh, that's because I'm in the wrong place. Sorry, I'm an idiot. Here we go. No, I'm right back where I was before. It's not finding my computer. Ah! All right, I'm just going to have to show it to you on my phone, and then you're just going to have to pause and take a look at it. So here it is. Take a good look. There's the rune right there. Okay, so I'll just keep this up here and I'll tell you what I see. All right, so in the center there we have our conscious experience, which is in Midgard, and that is Ansuj reversed. Ansuj reversed means that there is a lack of communication. It means divine communication with the divine, but it could mean communication in general, communication within ourselves. So what this means is that our conscious experience of all of this for the next 6 months when it comes to the coronavirus is that there's going to be a lack of communication. So let's see how that works out. That doesn't surprise me at all. Next thing I do is I go to the top there, and in the top we have what is coming. It's not here yet, but it's on its way. Now this makes perfect sense. This is what people have been saying, what doctors have been predicting. It's going to take probably until the end of the year before we see any real relief. So Hagalaj is in the north there, and Hagalaj is healing. So that's awesome. The great thing about Hagalaj is it doesn't just mean healing, it means self-examination. So healing through self-examination. So that means that's what's coming. So by the June, since I framed this question, what's going to happen with the coronavirus pandemic within the first 6 months, then what we have there is Hagalaj. which says that healing will not arrive, but it will arrive, but it's going to take longer than 6 months. All right, so the next thing we do is we go up to the top right, which is Asgard. This is the realm of the hopes, dreams, aspirations. So our aspirations are that we feel trapped because we have Nautij. So Nautij represents that we're on the verge of, Nautij is also need fire. And if you look at it, those are two sticks rubbing together. This has to do with the invention or the discovery of how to create fire. So you can imagine somebody having to create fire. The first guy who figured it out was freezing his ass off. And he was going to figure out some way to create fire. There hasn't been a lightning storm in 3 months, and he's freezing his nuts off. So he's doing everything. He's smashing stones together. He's screaming. He's doing, he's trying to do everything he can to create fire. And the last ditch attempt, he starts rubbing two sticks together, and he magically figures it out. So his experience before the discovery of fire is this need, this overwhelming need. He feels trapped. He feels constricted. And so this is how, this is our fear. This is our fear of the future. We're feeling constricted, but we know that if we can figure this out, it's going to completely put us into a whole other realm of existence. It's going to be like the discovery of fire. It's going to save us. It's going to bring us into a new realm of technology. So this is our hopes and our dreams going forward. And it means that we have to start thinking differently. Whenever Nautij comes up, the way to deal with it is to ask yourself, what can I consciously do that's different? What can I do differently that I'm not doing now? All right, and then the next rune down there in the east, this is our identity. So this is interesting. This will be over a year of being a worldwide pandemic, or during that 6 months between now and June, there's going to be an increased identity with being more meditative, seeing things objectively, because the Manaj rune means the mind. Man means mind. It also means human. Man. Man, we called each other Man. By the way, Man isn't just man or woman. It means human being. We've been calling each other the moon or the mind. Hey, mind. There's that mind that lives next door. Yeah, there's this family of minds that live in that other house. We are divine mind. That's what makes us human. So our identity is going to be more meditative, more seeing things from an objective perspective, from the mind. And then in the southeast, we have Wunjo. So that represents our intentions. Now, Wunjo is joy, but it's also the joy of camaraderie. It's the joy that happens, when you have a good holiday season and you're with your family and everybody loves each other and they're drinking cider and they're making jokes around the fire. That's Wunjo. So that's what people want. What people want to intend is they want happiness again. They want joy again. They want to be with people again. So they want the joy that comes from interacting with their loved ones. And then in the south, we have the actions that will be taken. And here we have Kenaj reversed, which is confusion. So that makes sense. There's going to be a lot of confusion in terms of actions. There's already tons of that going on, so I don't need to elaborate on that one. And then in the southwest, we have the unconscious mind. And in the unconscious mind, we have Thurisaj reversed, which means lack of boundaries. So it means on an unconscious level, our boundaries are all screwed up. And it's going to continue. And that's going to fuel. That's probably why there's so much confusion. Is because our boundaries are just all over the place. In the west there, that is our relationship. So our relationship to the world, our relationship to everybody else. Here we have Perthro reversed. So it means that how we used to relate to each other has come to a karmic end. We can no longer relate to each other the way we used to. And we'll see how that plans out. That's interesting. But this isn't something that can be overcome. Whatever this virus has brought has put a karmic end to how the world interacts with itself. And up there at the top left there, that is the realm of the elves. This is good advice. And it says that we are in denial of our feelings. So with Laguj reversed, it means that the elves are saying you need to get honest. It's time to listen to your feelings. And the opposite of Laguj reversed is Tiwaj, which is the highest awareness. They're saying it's time to get into some higher awareness here. All right? So the next thing I look for is I look for 3 reversed runes in a row. And if that happens, then we have to talk about it. We don't have that. We come really close, but we don't have that. So that would mean that there was a really serious trend going on that needs to be looked at, but we don't have that. It means that people can, that the world can work it out. So that's my first prediction. I'm still trying to figure out what the hell I'm doing wrong, why I'm not able to get it onto the, I mean, why is my phone not recognizing my computer? That's the weirdest thing. All right, well, we'll just have to keep, I'll just have to keep doing it this way then. All right, so there's that first half. So I'm happy to take any questions if there are any. I don't see any questions come up. If you're interested in knowing how to do this kind of rune reading, I actually train people how to do that. And you can go to, if the lockdown is still up, you can go to lockdown.thunderwizard.com. And then you can get certified in my rune reading teaching, lockdown.thunderwizard.com. You can also go to what, rune readings? Yeah, you can go to runereadings.thunderwizard.com. Okay, go check those out to get rune readings. All right, so that's my first half of the. It's the first thing that I wanted to look at. Is I wanted to know what we could expect in terms of the virus. So healing is coming. Dean is asking me a question. Are there 3 reversed runes in the west column? Let's see. Did I miss something? Oh, yeah. Thank you for pointing that out, Dean. He's absolutely right. There are 3 reversed runes in the left column. Somebody said the left-hand side. So the left-hand side has to do with the left side of the body, which has to do with the feminine, which has to do with the receptive. So it means that, yeah, this is the sign of being under a lot of stress, that we've shut down on our left side, on our feminine side. So you're absolutely right, guys. Thanks for catching that. It means that we've got that, you know, doing internal work, meditation, things like that is going to be really helpful. Starting with getting honest with our feelings, and then taking a look at our boundaries and getting healthy boundaries on a deep level. So thanks for pointing that out. That's absolutely correct. I missed that. All right, so let's, since I don't see it, oh, there's a, yeah, no more questions. So let's do another reading, shall we? Why don't you tell me, you give me a question, I'll pick one, but why don't you tell me, why don't you give me a question, make sure it's a clear question about this coming year, and I will, if I like your question, I will go ahead and do a reading on that. So Authentic Acupuncture, Balmain, welcome to the channel. The best way to interact with me is to leave a question, and when you do, write the word question like you see above you. Dean Nevins wrote that in all caps. I do that because when there's a lot of people, I scroll through the comments. I'm looking for the questions. So I do see a question mark at the end, but I would have missed that if this were a more crowded time. If you're new to the channel, of course, you don't know that, so that's not your fault. But let's see. Lack of communication is interesting. I did an I Ching divination, can't remember the gua, which showed stagnation for 2021. How would this relate to communication? Well, communication isn't just communication. The rune Ansuj means not just communication, but it means energetic connection. Because in order to get a communication from the deities, because literally Ansuj is translated as God mouth, which means divine communication. So that could be communication within yourself, but it could be communication to the gods. So that's an energetic thing. So that means the stagnation you're talking about would be a direct result of energetic stagnation from, either the lack of communication or resulting in a lack of communication. Paul Kapari question, what areas will abundance flow in 2021? Now, are you talking about the whole world? That's a big question. I'm not opposed to it, but it's kind of a big question. All right, what other questions? Give me a question for the world for this next year. I mean, I can even look at the second half of 2021 to see what will happen with the coronavirus. We can talk about the election if you want. What's going to happen? Is Biden going to end up being president? Is he going to end up not being president his whole term? All that kind of stuff. Those are some good things. License registration, please. You're so funny. My God, that's so cute. It's so cute, it's intolerable for me how cute you are. You're so cute that I'm just going to block you from being able to communicate whatsoever. So let's all laugh. Let's all look. License and registration. He needs attention. Let's all give him some attention. And let's all let him know how cute he is and how incredibly clever he is. All of that, and then let's say goodbye to him forever. Okay. Let's see, what else? All right, that's not a question. Still waiting for the question. Question that I can ask the universe. Actually, I'm going to take a look at that. Can I do it? Can I do that? No, I can't do that. No, I can't do that. All right. No questions? All right, then I'm going to ask that question. What do the tunes say about biting being oars or not? Okay, is that what you meant to say? What do the runes say about Biden being what? I don't know. What are you trying to say on the last part? You have ORES or not. I don't know what that means. I'll give you, try and type it out again because I don't know what that means. Saeed question, would the world be more aware of the energies and the gods of our ancestors of old? Would the next year finally usher in the age of Aquarius? Well, I think I can answer that last part without doing a reading. We're not ready completely for the age of Aquarius. We're still in transition for that. So I'm not going to say yes or no to that question. I see it more as, I don't think it's like a big event that happens. I think it's something that happens, it takes a little time. Runes, president. All right, so what do the runes say about Biden being president or not? So you were going to say prez. I got it. You hit O instead. Question, how should America approach reestablishing communication? Well, since this is an experiment, and as I said in the beginning of this video, in case you came on late, I gave a, what do you call that? I gave a prediction that said, or I said that when it comes to predicting about anything that you have a personal connection to, you've got a 50-50 chance of being right, because your unconscious mind is going to influence the reading. That's why I always suggest, if somebody wants to be a rune reader, that you should get paid to do it. Because if you get paid to do it, then you no longer have an agenda. That's the whole point. And if you want somebody to give you an accurate rune reading, you should go get somebody that you pay money to. I don't care if it's $1 or whatever it is, because that puts them in the position of they don't have an agenda anymore. They don't need to make you like them. You know, their agenda was to take your dollar or whatever it is. So I have an agenda because I am, you know, I'm part of this world. So there's no way for me to separate myself. But I'm going to ask that question that you've brought up, because this will test. We'll find out. You know, between now and the end of 2021, we will find out if I'm right or if my unconscious mind imposed on it. So this will be an experiment. Maybe we'll come back in a year. If I remember, we'll take a look at it and see how right I was. So I'm going to answer Nora's question, which is, what does the runes say about Biden being president or not? So we already know that according to the official count, the guy's president. He's been officially given the nod by all the electoral process. Again, I'm not even trying to just determine whether or not you agree or disagree. That's the fact of the matter. And there's a electoral vote in Congress on the 6th, which, as I understand it, there's all this drama that's being now, and a bunch of guys are going to go through last-ditch efforts to make some kind of ceremonial, I don't know, I honestly don't know what they think they're doing. But basically everything that I've heard is that it's just going to postpone the inevitable, which is that Biden will be officially proclaimed the president. But anything can happen. We'll see. You know, maybe Pence will refuse to certify it, because that's all he's there to do, is ceremoniously certify the count. And who knows what will happen? Let's see. But let's go ahead and ask that question. What's going to happen between this next year? So I'll put specifically for the whole year. What's going to happen for the whole year with Biden and his presidency? All right, so take a deep breath in, hold it. Let's ask Odin for his wisdom, and exhale. Take another deep breath in and hold it. Let's ask Vili for his power. Exhale. Take another deep breath in and hold it. Let's ask Ve for his spirit, and exhale. All right, there's one rune that's wanting to come out, so I'm going to listen to it. That's the other thing that happens, is like if a rune flies out of a deck, it's trying to get out. Question is whether or not I'm unconsciously doing that because I can't see the runes, or whether that's the gods doing it. So that first one wants to come out, so I'm going to put that in the center there. There's another one trying to come out. I'm going to put that at the top. All right, so again, let's make some more room here. All right, this wants to be shuffled again, so I'll do it. All right, so there's that. Then the next one in Asgard, next one in the east there, southeast, south, southwest, west, northwest. All right, so those are all of the 9 worlds. Let's put this together. I'll take a picture and then I'll show it to you on there, since for some reason my phone is not recognizing my computer, which I don't understand. And let's see what happens here. Oh, there's my knee. Okay, let's take it. Oh, all right. Can I see anything? Okie doke. Now let's gather these back up again. Okay, here it is. So we've got up at the top or in the center, again, this is about Biden's presidency. In the center, we have the conscious experience of the nation, which is cooperation. So if I take that, that sounds about right in terms of what he's projecting. He's made an effort to say that he wants to get out of the rhetoric of the, the name calling and the personal attacks, and he's, I think he wants to, or according, anyway, at least the impression I get from him, that he wants to create cooperation between the two parties and get cooperation back in the government. So according to this, that he will achieve that. What will be coming in the north in terms of his presidency, we have Nauthiz again. So everything I said about Nauthiz before is true. It means he's going to feel frustrated. He's going to feel trapped, but he's going to be seeking to get beyond that, which will create a new level of whatever it is he's looking for. So there's going to be that experience. So there's going to be some frustration, but it's not a block. It's not a block to progress or anything. It's just there's going to be some frustration and feeling hemmed in. And that's probably true with every president based on our current political system. Up in the Northeast, we have the hopes, aspirations for the country, and there we have Hagalaj, which is healing and self-examination. So all of that sounds good. And then in the east, on the right-hand side, we have at the very least, we're talking about the United States, the identity of the United States, which will be of stability, because we have Othal, which means home, homeland. So there will be a feeling of, we're back at home, we're back to ourselves. All of that sounds pretty good. And then in the bottom right, we have the intention, the subconscious intention of the country, which is Fehu. So Fehu is abundance. So that makes a lot of sense. People want to start making money again. So that's going to be the experience of that, of him and the country, is to get us back making money and having resources. The South is the actions that will be taken, and that is Raito, which means following the right path, following the law, following the ritual requirements, doing the right thing. So that's going to be, the actions will be, according to this, that he's going to be doing the right thing, following the right path. In the bottom left there, that is the unconscious. In the unconscious, you have Yuhwaj, which is simultaneously conflict and shamanic evolution, from death to life, from life to death, back to life again. So resurrection. So on an unconscious level, people are going to be filled with conflict, but they're also going to be going through a transformation, an evolution. Evolution is always, it's similar to Hagalaj, which is self-initiated revolution or change, cleansing, self-evaluation, and Yuhwaj is you don't volunteer. It is forced upon you. The change is forced upon you, but it's still evolution. So that's going to be our unconscious experience as a country. And then in the West, in terms of relationship with others, there's going to be a lack of, wait, come on, where'd we go here? Stop screwing around. Do what I'm telling you to do. There's going to be a lack of emotional awareness. So people are going to stuff their feelings. I don't recommend that, but maybe that's just something people have to do to get on with life, especially with all this nonsense going on with, about, this whole election nonsense. People are going to have to stuff their feelings and just get on with life. So that's maybe just a necessary evil. And then in the top left there in the northwest, this is the elf home. So what are the elves saying there? The elves are saying that it's a death. So Berchtano reversed means the opposite of birth, which is death. It doesn't mean the same as Perthra, which means karmic ending. It means, it's like when you're thinking of breaking up. You know, if we were looking at a relationship and I would, somebody asked, well, what is my partner thinking? If Berchtano reversed came up, I would say, oh, he's thinking of breaking up. Doesn't mean he's going to do it. It just means he's thinking about it. So that means that the elves are saying, listen, you got to put an end. You got to be willing to stop something. What that is, I don't know. Right? So there it is. Got that? So there's Biden's presidency. See, is there any 3 reversed runes? Yep. No, actually, no, there isn't. Comes very close. The left side again, which has to do with trust. So in both of these readings, we see a lack of trust going on in terms of the United States. We almost have 3 reversed runes. Yuhuaj feels like it's reversed, but it's not. Anyway. All right, so there's that. I see a lot of comments coming up. I'm assuming these are people who aren't new to my channel, people who have to yell at me in all caps. Robert Connolly. I mean, do you like write emails that way? Do you write everything in all caps? Like when you go on and you put things, do you have to do it in all caps? Do you realize that you're screaming at everybody? That's like somebody you don't hear, my opinion is so important, I have to scream at you in all caps. Are you that guy like at Thanksgiving, that's drinking and telling everybody what's going on? Are you one of those people? I don't know. It's just, that's my first experience. All caps, somebody screaming at me with all caps. Again, this is a question and answer, so I'm going to, I prefer the questions. You can dump your opinion all you want, but I probably won't look at it. I'm just looking for questions. DC Pagan says, how should America approach reestablishing communication? I think I saw that. I'm not sure how to answer that question. That's a good question. If I don't have an intelligent thing to say, I won't say it. But I think that's for me a good meditation question to be thinking about. Okay, I asked you guys to give me questions for the rune reading, so if you're asking me that, obviously I chose the one. Could Mike Pence be a reincarnation of Thomas Jefferson? I highly doubt that. I highly doubt that. Unless Thomas Jefferson got hit in the head really hard. I mean, I'm not a fan of Mike Pence at all. I mean, on any level. I don't think he has any integrity. I don't see him as having an opinion. I mean, the guy, there's just nothing about the guy that I find of any value. He's like cotton candy. There's nothing to him. That, of course, is just my opinion. So, no, I would say no. I don't think he is the reincarnation of Thomas Jefferson. But that's my opinion. Raito Sawal, question, do you really want to focus yours and others' attention on energy on politics? Why are you asking that? That's not a question. And a question is, I have knowledge that you don't, and you're asking me to fill in that gap. This is a passive-aggressive way of you stating your opinion. You don't like politics. Well, it's a reality of life, and I'm sorry you don't like that. But, I don't know, what you're trying to say with that. Do I want to focus people's attention on politics? I mean, it's a reality. We've got a constitutional crisis going on in the United States, regardless of which side of the argument you're on. So it's okay with me that you don't like talking about politics, but, again, right, though, Sawal, you want to ask me a question? Ask me an honest question. You'll get a much better response from me. Let's see, what else? Robert Connolly is screaming at everybody. Righto, Sawal, catch you next time. I'm going into the garden. Wastu Hayal. Thank you, sir. All right, so you left before I could shame you for your for your passive-aggressive comment. DC Pagan, inverse Lagus on the west side seems to be a recurring theme tonight. Yes, it does, doesn't it? Robert Colony's yelling at us his opinions. Yeah, he believes. So that by the way, you're fitting into my stereotype. You know, you believe that the vote is illegal. You're the kind of person that has to scream your opinion at everybody. You're incapable of having a two-way dialogue with people. Now, that is my generalization of the other side. But you happen to be fitting very well in that. And I wonder if it's helpful for you in life to be constantly screaming in all caps your opinion to people in your lives. Okay, let's see what else. Evan Price is right. If he's not screaming, he feels invisible. I understand that. Now, without any judgment, I understand that feeling. And I get that feeling every time somebody on a loud Harley Davidson rides by. They could have gotten a quieter motorcycle that would have functioned just as well. There's electric motorcycles out there. However, that could be actually dangerous because if a car doesn't hear you coming, they might run you over. But that every time I hear that, because you can hear those Harley Davidsons, you can hear those bikers for miles around, and they're screaming, "I'm here! Pay attention to me! Can't you hear me? Everybody within a 3-mile radius, all 10,000 of you." It's like if they don't make a ton of noise, nobody hears them, and then they feel like they don't exist. My brother was like that. He had to walk around banging, opening and slamming doors and coughing and stomping around. And he would do it all the time. And it's because of that. He felt invisible. Felt like if he didn't, he'd like disappear and nobody know that he existed. And that's actually kind of sad. Anyway, that may not be the case. Robert Connolly says he has some other stuff going on. So we'll give him the benefit of the doubt. And he's going to go out on the mainstream media, NLP, mind control. Yeah. So, Robert, welcome to my channel. I recommend that you watch my channel so that you'll know my opinions on all of those things. I'm not going to take time to address it in this video, but all right. So I don't know anything about that. Anyway, that's it. So I've done a couple of rune readings. So the first one said that in terms of the first 6 months of the pandemic, we won't have healing, but it will be on the way. And whatever else I said, it actually looked pretty good and seems to make sense in terms of Biden. Now, again, this is going to be a test to see if I'm able to make predictions based on the runes without influencing them unconsciously. And I would have to say that the reading that I gave sounds like what I personally think will happen as well as what I want to happen. So he'll be cooperative. People will cooperate with him. And even though people will have difficulty with their frustration and with their lack of trust and the conflict that is going on, people will shove all that down and do what they have to do to get back. What will be most important in terms of the actions, and everybody I think will realize this, is that we got to get back on our feet financially. And so people are just going to stuff down whatever issues they have and just cooperate so that they can get the country running smoothly again. So all of that I think sounds pretty good, sounds pretty reasonable, and sounds pretty accurate. But we'll see if I'm right or not. We'll see if it's just my projection or if I was actually interpreting what the gods had to say. All right, let's see what else. No other questions. All right, so Robert Connolly, calm down. My apologies. he tolerated my abuse of him, and he still stayed around. So we all have to take our hat off to him. That shows a good, at least some good aspects there. All right, I got nothing else. Happy New Year to everybody, and I will see you all. Oh, before I go any further, the 90-day challenge. Now that where I'm at, it's the first of the year. I've been telling people to hold off on that because it charges you for the month. But now that it's the 1st, where you are, it's still the 31st, but in a few hours it's going to be 2021. I recommend that you subscribe at the thunderwizard.com, specifically the 90-day challenge. Go check that out. And I suggest that you subscribe for the year, because if you do, you will get 2 months off right off the bat. If you've been waiting to subscribe there, go ahead and do it. I've just added level 2. So level 2 of the 90-day challenge, talk to people who have already done it. They can tell you it is extremely powerful. And I'm starting now to release stuff that I would have gotten in a lot of trouble for, 10 or 20 years ago. But I'm going to start releasing. I just have to tell you, the power of this new level of stuff that I'm going to be teaching, I've never seen anything like it. And that goes even beyond the Celestial Qigong. I introduced Celestial Qigong 10 years ago. And I did it because I was reverse engineering the spirit fighting. Let's see, this stuff that I'm doing here. I was reverse engineering this stuff that you see me doing, which is, it is what it looks like. It's a Chinese martial art, but it's a Chinese martial art that was channeled by left-hand shamans, left-hand Taoist, the Maoshan Taoist sect, if you know anything about them. And the power from these things is I've never experienced anything like it before. You see me doing these things that looks like some weird dance or some kind of martial art, but besides, what's going on is I'm stimulating meridians in the palms and in the hands that are opening up centers within the body that, especially in the heart center, that create this nuclear kind of power. And so I reversed engineered all this stuff and I put it into a Qigong practice called Celestial Qigong. You can go to spirittao.com if you want to go get that yourself. You can go, I didn't say, stop trying to spell for me. You can go to spirittao.com and you can get Celestial Qigong. And what else was happening with that is that people were coming to me who had been Qigong masters, like their whole life. They were Tai Chi masters. And they were coming back to me, and people, I just got one just recently. Somebody said, I'm a Qigong master. I've been doing this my whole life. I've never experienced anything as powerful as this. Well, so I've decided to go even further, and I'm trying to take the power of this and share it in the most powerful way that I can on video. Now, these things you're watching me do, I can't teach this on video because, as you'll see in this one, this is the most powerful of the set that I'm doing right now. That one right there. That one, if I were to teach people, an uninitiated person, you might blow a circuit. Because when I started training again just recently, I blew a circuit. My meridians were open, but I had been, the energy hadn't been at that level for a while. And so I started practicing like I'd never stopped, and I blew a couple of circuits in my head. And point being is that the energy that you get from this stuff, one of the questions I asked, I started training again, and I was working with a specific deity, and I said, show me what's different about this, because I can go to Tai Chi down the street, I can go to the other Taoist Bagua, and there's nowhere near the level of power that this stuff has. So I said, nobody's been able to explain it to me. So I asked in meditation, I asked, show me what's different about this. And I started getting all these downloads, and I started being shown where to research, and I started finding out that what's different is that these practices stimulate meridians in the hands and in the arms, as well as the rest of the body, and the bottoms of the feet, because what you can't see is what I'm doing with my feet. If you were to hear it, it would sound like I was tap dancing. And that's because there are energy gates on the feet, and heel toe, toe heel, and stomping and those kinds of things that creates all kinds of weird things that go on inside the body and the meridians. But what's happening with the hands and the arms is that there's meridians that come through from the tips of the finger, especially the middle one, that go through up into a place of the called the pericardium meridian, not the actual pericardium, but an energy center that surrounds the heart. And it's an untapped reservoir of pure nuclear Shakti energy. It's like nuclear power. Now, I'm 57 years old. So before I started practicing as hard as I am, I was out there surfing, I was out there lifting weights, I was out there being very physical. But what would happen is if I went to the gym and I pushed myself super hard, I'd have to just lie in bed for the rest of the day, or the next day I'd be really tired and I couldn't function. That's just part of the deal. If I go out there and I go surfing, I'm done for the whole day, I can't function. I started doing this practice again. And what happened is I'd go to the gym and I'd lift longer and harder than I ever had. And then I'd come home and I'd practice for at least an hour until I was drenched with sweat and my body was vibrating with energy. And then, of course, I'd conk out and fall asleep, and I'd wake up, 8 hours later. And the level of energy is unbelievable. I mean, I can go to the gym every day and lift as hard as I ever can and practice and still not be tired. There's this level of power that comes from this that I've never seen before. And anyway, this is the kind of stuff that I'm going to be revealing here. I'm starting to reveal it here. I've given the postures for the 5 elements: ether, air, fire, water, and earth, or wood, metal, fire, water, earth. And I'm showing you where in the fingers, which fingers to hold together, which fingers to touch. I'm going to start talking about mudras and things that, just doing specific little mudras and breathing a certain way will just explode energy in your body. And this is an art designed for channeling. This is why it's called black magic, because you're channeling directly from the gods and the spirits, and you're getting, so this is if you guys learn to master this, you'll be able to create your own. You won't have to just follow what I teach you. You'll be able to create your own practice. And all those things about people becoming immortal and all that kind of stuff, I'm starting to see that there's really something to this. But now I know what's actually happening. I know the technology behind it in terms of the meridians. So I'm going to continue to give you exercises where I've reverse engineered, bits and pieces of things where the most power is, and then learned how to create it and expand on it. And I'm going to teach you guys how to do that. I'm going to eventually start my own full Taoist tradition. But to get started with that, you need the Celestial Qigong and you need the 90-day challenge. So now that it's the first of the year, I'm telling everybody to subscribe, and you can subscribe, month to month. But if you subscribe for the year, you'll get 2 months off, right off the bat, and then you won't have to worry about it for a year. All right. Let's see. I guess that's it. All right. I don't have anything else to say. Robert Connolly doesn't seem to understand the idea for this as a question and answer. He's got a lot to say. I'm not going to read any of it, but let's see. Two Moon Z did put a question down. He said, will Trump or Biden be president? So I've already done that reading, and Biden, according to my reading, Biden definitely is going to be president. Assuming that my reading is accurate, he is going to be president. Trump doesn't have any legal. I mean, there's going to be, there's going to be. I mean, I saw this coming. There's going to be in Congress, some of the Republicans are going to put up a fight, and what they're doing is they're using a very esoteric legal challenge, which is, which, by the way, which goes back to 1776. That whole thing that they're going to go through, that whole ritual they're going to go through, on the 6th, is totally outdated. Because in 1776, we didn't have the internet, we didn't have television, we didn't have, phones or cell phones or things like that where people could communicate instantly. They actually had to go through this process where you had the election, and then 6 weeks later you had the electors go to Congress and give you paper ballots of here's how many people won, and then had to officially then count the vote, and then somebody could object, and they would object, and then they would have to go back and look at things and talk about it and recount it and all that kind of stuff. There's no need for that. So this is just some really outdated, nonsensical thing from 250 years ago. It's totally unnecessary. It's just it's politics at its best. It's just so ridiculous. So yeah, he's going to be president. Unless something, bad happens like civil war or, nuclear bombs or something like that, or he keels over and dies, which of course I don't wish for him or anybody. Here's another good question. DC Pagan, how much time every day and what time should one commit to the exercise for the challenge? So DC Pagan, are you doing? Because I tell you what it is. It's a half-hour long thing. And you click. The reason why I say do it with me every day is because you just click play. Instead of listening to me talk, you watch me do it. And so it's just, you don't even have to think about it. So I think it's like a half an hour or something like that. Having said that, I also know that I have to be responsible when I teach something. So I always make sure, and I did this with Celestial Qigong, whenever I teach energy practices on video, I know that people are going to do it wrong, either consciously or unconsciously, or they're going to do it out of order, or they're going to focus on one that they like. And so I make sure that I don't teach anything that has to be done a certain way or you'll blow a circuit. That can only be done in person. So to answer your question, you can put as much time in it as you want. The more you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it. And you can test your limits to see how long you can do it before you start blowing circuits. If you get a headache or you end up not being able to see straight, or you can't get out of bed because your whole body's buzzing. Like for me, when I wake up in the morning, the palms of my hands and the soles of my feet are buzzing. And I've had people who just, when I touch them, they go, my God, your hands are so hot. And my hands are soft, really soft too. And I lift weights every day. And women, they touch my hands, they go, your hands are so soft, because all of the energy coming out of my hands. So for you ladies out there, this practice will keep you young looking, keeps the skin soft. And the other weird thing is that even though I'm going to the gym and lifting really hard, my arms are still really, they're not like tight like rocks. They're really flexible, and there's just something about this energy that's just really amazing. So I recommend that. Once it hits 2021, I recommend that you subscribe at the year so that you can save 2 months off the bat. Okay, Robert Connolly still is talking and has no question. But that's all right. I'll let it pass this time. Cujo and Adrina, 2021 will only get worse. Why are you so proud of that? I don't know if you're right or wrong. I don't have an agenda. But you seem really proud of that. You seem like that's important for you. And my question to you is, what if you're wrong? What if everything starts coming together and you can't focus on how bad things are and what they're doing to you? I mean, are you going to be able to, what is the need that you have? I'd really love to know. I actually don't want to know, but at the moment, I'm curious as to how many conspiracy theories you're holding on to at this point. Unless you're just kidding around because you called me Thunder Lizard. Maybe that was it. Did I misunderstand you? Were you just kidding around and you're calling me Thunder Lizard? Because when I used to do my Thunder Lizard routine? Anyway, if that's the case, then my complete and full apology to you. All right, so I'm starting to babble and get myself into trouble, so I think it's time for me to say goodbye. And Happy New Year to everybody. For you guys, most of you watching, it's going to be in a few hours. Let's see, it's 4 o'clock now, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it's 10 o'clock. So it's already 2021 on the East Coast of the United States. And in 2 hours in California, you guys are going to be in next year. So Happy New Year to everybody, and I will see you when I see you. He says, yes, just kidding. Ah, gotcha. You caught me in one of my weaknesses, which I'm going to work on this next year. We'll see if I follow through with this. I'm going to work on being more tolerant and patient, and see if I can avoid unloading on people. And Rune, Heal the Eagle, I am going to do your rune reading once I get off of here. So that I'll upload that and give you a link to that when I'm done. All right, guys, that's it. Thanks. See you next time.